Hi everyone. In today's class, we are going to show Postman. So Postman is one of my favorite tools when it's about testing APIs. I say it's a must-have when you're testing APIs. There are other tools we're going to see at the end of this class, but believe me, you must use Postman or any one of those tools to test your API before implementing to Qlik. So this is very important. This is one of the most important classes in this course. So believe me, you want to test that before implementing APIs in Qlik. This will make your life a lot easier. Okay. So again, it's very important to use a tool like this, like Postman, to test your REST APIs. Okay, believe me. All right. Okay, so what's Postman? So the Postman is a REST API client. It does other stuff, but mainly is a REST API client to test APIs. Okay, so you go to your REST API documentation, get endpoints in the methods and everything else, the parameters. So you just set up that in Postman. Usually there is a curl command that you can copy from the REST API and then you can import into Postman. So it will write the request for you and you test it. And then you can see if you're missing anything. So why this is important? So why that matters? Why just not go straight to Qlik and just test it? So, because it's easier, a lot easier to test in Postman. So, and you eliminate some variables. So maybe you're just missing a parameter in Qlik, or you have a communication problem, or you just don't know how to play with the headers. So in Qlik, it's more challenging to test the APIs. And when you test in Postman, you know for sure the REST API is working. It's nothing else. So you know the parameters, you know the authentication, you can see the results, you make sure you're correct. So then you can bring that into Qlik. In the most part of time, it's just about, okay, this is the URL, those are the headers, those are the query parameters. You test it and you're good to go. Okay. So in Postman, you have the result faster and more precise than Qlik. All right. Postman. So let's take a look how Postman looks like. And first, it's free. Okay. So we're going to see where you put the URL, the get post method, where you put the parameters, the body, the headers, and all the stuff, the response. So where you collect the response. And in how you can organize Postman to make it easier to find your REST APIs. I'm a heavy user of Postman, and I have lots of collections, groups. I programmatically set a lot of environment variables, a lot of stuff. So it can get messy if you don't organize well your Postman. So Postman provide all the kind of tools to organize your environment. So it's good to know this stuff. Okay. So let's take a look. All right. Let me go here. I already have my Postman open. So this is again, it's free. You can have the paid versions. You can have a team version where you can share your collections with other developers. But just to start, it's free. I will start a new workspace here, just to keep everything set. Oh, I already have it one actually. I will start with the Stripe. In this case, I'll use the Stripe one. So I have it started already here. So then the workspace, I like projects, or I like to add APIs here. It's like you have one for Qlik Cloud tenants. I have one for another Qlik Cloud tenants, and they have fresh sales. So we have different kinds of APIs, and I grouped them for APIs. So it's easy for me. And inside, those are the workspace. So inside a workspace, you can have a collection of stuff, right? So what things you have here. I don't believe I have any variable here. Maybe for authorization, I already have it. Okay, yes, I do have some stuff. Like you can specify at the collection at the collection level how you connect to your endpoints, so you don't need to type it every time. Okay, so for a Stripe in this case, don't worry, we're going to revisit all the stuff. You're going to use the bearer token, and then my token I can put in a variable, and the variable is inside here. So I just need to type it once, and then for my request, I can just go in the authorization tab, and I can inherit authentication from parent. In this case, is my collection. So I don't need to do it every time. Otherwise, I have to type here, what's my authorization, what's the token. I can do this in authorization tab or also in the header in this case. But let's not worry about this now. And also inside here, inside the collections, you can add subfolders. So you can add, what is it? You can add folders, new requests. So you can manually type a new request here. So you can enter again the base URL, the version, the resource, and you can add the parameters and everything else. You have a tab specific for parameters. Here, the most important things will be the URL, right? The parameters, the methods, right? So get, post, put, patch, delete. There are some other ones that we don't use these. We mostly be using get and post, the authorization, of course, and the header. And for post operations, you're going to use body a lot. This is where you type the JSON request, was when you have to provide something more specific, and that changes according to the endpoint you're using. It's most common when you're using a post, okay, or put a patch, but mostly post in our case. Okay, now it's about Stripe. So Stripe is free. I think it's the most popular platform, the e-commerce platform. So pretty much every thing that you purchase probably use Stripe. There's a high chance the purchase online that you're doing uses Stripe. So it's free, so you can create your account. Stripe is extremely powerful, right? You can add customers, you can control all your billings there, like all your e-commerce, any kind of financial transactions, you can use Stripe. It's used by small companies and huge ones. So I'm not sure if you heard about it, but yes, it's extremely popular. And inside Stripe, you can have different environments. So you can have a production environment, a development environment. So in our example, of course, you'll be using a developer environment, and Stripe works with API keys, right? The bearer token. So I'm not going to show you details, but it's quite easy to capture to get one token. Okay, so if you go here, I also have open my Stripe account. It's very easy to create a Stripe account. Just go to stripe.com, and then you have a guided tour how to create your account. And then at some point, you're going to have your account created. And then you see the dashboard. So this is the dashboard. Right now, because I'm in the developer mode, so it calls the sandbox, it's nothing live here. You can switch to live, but for our tests, we'll be just using the sandbox. And then if you go on the bottom here, you're going to see this is where you can create your API keys. So you have to create your API keys, and then the one don't worry about this. I'll be going to delete all these API keys. So I'm going to change everything. But then you can create a new restricted key, or you can use the ones that already created. The one that you'll be using here is this one here, Qlik REST API training. So I have created this one here, and this is the one you see in my Postman. So if I go to Postman and you go to my core resources, and if you go into variable, this is the API key. So I just give any name. So in this case, token, and I put the REST API here, and this is everything that you need to do the authentication. And in the documentation, the API reference is excellent. So I think this is the gold standard for REST APIs. Here you can test live. You can see everything. There are help materials. They have examples for everything. So it's just fantastic, okay? And the one that we'll be using today, and mostly in our class, will be the customers. So under customers, you see all the endpoints that we have available. So like the other one that you've seen, so you have the version, you have the resource, in this case, the customers. This one is to post. So they explain here. So the post is to create a customer. Update, they also use post. Get a customer is the get, right? A list of customers is also get, delete, and search. So we'll be using the list all customers. So this will return the collection. So if you go here, click, you're seeing details, all the parameters needed. And the most important is this command here. So you can have this for multiple platforms. Like you can see this display here for Stripe API. You can have for Python, so they describe how to do it. And what's the funny thing? They put your the API that you're using, so that you can insert here. There's a configuration. There is a configuration place here where you can add it and you can actually test it. But for our case, you'll be using the curl. So the curl is everything you need. It's like a representation of a REST API. So how you can describe a REST API in order to import that or share that to other users. So in my case here, let's say I want to copy this one. So I copy this curl command. So then if I go here to Postman, okay, and then you go here to the imports, I see you can have a curl, grp curl, etc. So paste your curl command, click imports, and then you see your command here, okay? So it provides, it already fills all the parameters for you. So it put the get, it create a customer, it does the authentication. You can just inherit from the parents because I already have created my authentication here. And then you have the body. The body doesn't have anything important. This is funny. I'm not expecting to see this body here. Let me see one thing. Yeah, this is not right. So, okay. And again, so the authorization, it comes from my collections. If I go back to the collection here, Stripe use the bearer token. Okay, so then you just need to provide the token. And the token comes from the variable. So I just type any name here for the variable, and I put my token here. So then Stripe is creating on the back end the authentication bearer token and providing the token. So if I test this one, so I just send the request, I should see the list of customers. By the way, when you create an account, you won't have all these customers, right? So it's empty. If you use Claude or any other LLM, Stripe provides an MCP tool. So you can connect an MCP tool, and then you can request, hey, create some simple data for me, and then you can test it. You can do this using Claude for any tool, any platform that supports MCP. So if you're doing just for tests, instead of typing yourself the test, you can ask Claude or ChatGPT to connect to your platform through MCP and then request some sample data. So in my case here, I use Claude. Just take a look on let's spend a few moments here in the response, right? So again, we have the methods to get. This is the base URL. This is the version. This is the resource. And this is the parameters. So just say, give me the three customers, all right? And then if you look at here, so we have the properties, right? Remember, it's a key pair. We have using, again, double quotes. So the object is the type list. And then the square brackets represents a collection, like I said. So inside this data, Stripe have this data, and everything inside the data is the object you're looking for. And you can close it, right? So you can, this is the nice feature of Postman. You can see the results, so you can understand the structure of your response. You can also go here and see how it looks like. So how the structure look, okay? So, but here in Postman, I can see, so you have this object type list, has more, so I still have more records. I think I have 20 customers, so then has more is true. You can see the URL for this resource. This is not important for us. In the future, for the pagination, we'll be using this has more, okay? And the data, you can see these, again, the square bracket represents the array, a collection. And if you expand it, you see the different customers. I asked for 3 customers, so then the curly brackets represents the entire object. So each one of these curly brackets represents the entire customer. So 3 customers, they are here. If I expand one, so this is the customer ID, this number, right? And we have all the properties. And this is when things start getting interesting. And so the JSON is like a hierarchy data structure, right? And inside, you see, for example, address is a property, but it's a complex property. It's not just a string in this case, right? So then it's another object. So you have the object address. So be city, country, etc. And it could be a collection of addresses. In this case, you start with square brackets, and then you have another, like the address will be inside the square brackets, but that represents the collections. That means a customer can have more than one address. And like in voice settings, you also have a complex object, and things are just normal, like shipping or text exempt. None is just a regular attribute. We have created is just a number. Balance is just a number, so you don't have the double quotes. Here we have a preferred locales or locales are just is another array, but it's empty. So then you can start. Putting your head how that looks like. Okay, so I'm asking for a collection of customers, right? So then I'm expecting to see at least one array. So then in Stripe standard, every collection is inside this data, okay? Data object. So then inside here, you have the collections. Okay, what if I change my limits to 10? So let's change to 10. And I send the request again. So that's the beauty of this. It's easy to test, right? Now, if I expand here, I'm expecting to have now 10 elements. So if I start closing the customers, I can see 1, 2, 3. Why? Oh, maybe this is the body here. I don't know what this body's doing here. Okay, so let's clean that up. Send again. And then, okay, now I have the 10 objects. So that body was overwriting the parameters here. That's kind of awkward. I was not expecting that. So for some reason, it was not well interpreted in this case. So if that happens to you, just remove the body. I don't know why it's here. But then you see the 10 customers, okay? And that's it. So then you can, I will not save this one because I already have it here. So let me close this, don't save. And this is the regular one that I was using, doing other tests, okay? Yes. All right, so let's move to the next step. So then, yes, so we see how to authenticate. So we get the authentication, right? And then we put, in my case, I put in the context. Oh, let me show you. If you don't use that variable, how you can use using just the header, okay? In this case, I will add like no authentication, and then I use the header, right? So this case here is the most common one for bearer authorization. And then you need to add bearer. This is like a keyword, space, and then I copy my token. Okay, we copy from here. We can copy from Stripe. Go here. This is very important. So it's bearer, space, and then you paste the token. So let's test that. See if that works. It worked. So this is the common way we're going to use in Qlik. So you have the header, you put authorization, and then for bearer and the token. That's the most common one for bearer tokens. But again, always keep in mind that depends on how the platform implements the REST APIs. Okay, it will not be true for every single API. So it depends on how the standard that they follow. Okay. All right. So let me go back here. All right. And again, if you have any problems, so you should see the status 200. And let me show the status 200. It shows right here. Okay. If you have any problem, so you see a red icon here or some kind of warning here. All right. And let's move back. Okay. The query parameter, so we talk about that one. So we have the limit, and then it's 3. All right. Okay. And also we already talked about that. So we have the JSON response, and then you can just have the flat files, right? Like the property and the value, ID and the value, amount and the value. So the property and the value, or you can have nested things. So each endpoint, you have its standards. There are some platforms. Those are the worst ones. Each endpoint will have a different pattern. So those are the most challenging. For Stripe, when you learn an endpoint, you can pretty much apply the same rules, just changing the names of the resources for every single one, right? So it's the same thing. But for some other APIs, every endpoint you have to learn something different, including pagination. So that's insane. So even for different endpoints, they apply different different pagination styles. I never saw anything with. Actually, I saw with different authentication methods depending on the endpoints you're looking for. I think those are usually when a company purchases different platforms in trying to integrate everything. So they are just playing around They don't end integrating everything perfectly. So you have different ways to do the authentication and pagination, and the endpoints look different. Okay, so just keep that in mind. REST API is always like about having the knowledge of previous implementations that you did, read the documentation of the REST APIs. You have to read it in order to understand the particularities of the endpoint you're working with and test. Okay. Okay. What other tools there are? There is so there are many client tools, REST API client tools. Bruno is one that I have worked before. It's very nice. You can work on-prem. You have to install on your machine. So it's very good. It's not my favorite one, but it's good. Insomnia, and the Hopscotch, I never use those. But those are popular ones. And during my research, I saw they are kind of very popular ones. I usually use Postman. I use Postman for 15 years, I guess. So it's very good. Okay, so my recommendation would be Postman or Bruno. Bruno is also good, but Postman, there's no error on Postman. Okay, and again, why test it in Postman? So we talked about that before. In Postman, when you test it, you see how easy it was for me to test. Just went to the documentation. I copied the curl. I import it here, or you can actually type the values, and then you have everything you need. So you have the endpoints, you have the parameters, you can play with the authentication, you see the response, so you can see what you expect. So you test it. So I know for sure this works. So it's easy. So everything that I need is here, so I can easily translate that to Qlik. So if I have any challenge, like my authorization, let's say I put authorizations here, and I try to send. So I have unauthorized, and then again, Stripe is one of the few ones that provide an error message, and this is actually helpful. So then I can okay. I did a mistake here. And then you can test and see easily the results. You can see that fast in Qlik Cloud, believe me. So then we have everything that you need here, and then you can test in Qlik. Okay. That's why Postman kind of helps on that and other tools. All right. So, and that's when Postman works, any problem in Qlik is your Qlik config. Okay. Not the API. So you know for sure the API works. So you don't spend any extra time trying to figure out, oh man, it's the API, is the server, is Qlik. Just test on Postman. You have your answer. Now it's just a matter of translating that to Qlik. Okay. And just an overview of everything we did. So create the Stripe test account. It's fast and easy and free. Use the test mode. Don't share your API keys like I did. Avoid that at all. Then how to authenticate, how to use authentication. You're going to see that in details in I think episode 4. You're going to see that in details. How is the nested JSON? So how you can have one collection inside the other. So this is called the nested JSON. The other tools that you can have, Bruno, Insomnia, and the other one, and why to use it. Okay. So the next episode, we're going to be building our data connection in Qlik Cloud to see how we can do that in Qlik Cloud. Okay. For this one, it'll be nice and easy. All right. Okay. I see you next time. Thank you.